is Jason, Senior Financial Consultant, and I'll be your webinar host for today. Right, today we are going to talk about a topic that's often hard to discuss but very important: what to do when a loved one passes away. Many of us find it uncomfortable to talk about death, but being prepared can really help reduce stress and emotional strain when it happens. Knowing who to find, the right person to call, and the subsequent steps to take can really make a big difference. Just like when we are not feeling well, we will often visit the GP first before deciding if we need a specialist. Or when, if we feel that our heart is jumping too quickly, we'll definitely look for a cardiologist. And yes, before we start, I would like to quickly introduce myself that I am from ATO Partners. Our team has been in the industry for past 30 years and has been achieving the top group for many numerous years. We continuously strive to be a one-stop solution by collaborating with different important companies to provide a all-rounded services, customizing financial solution and managing risk for our clients. Here are the platforms we use to better serve our clients in every aspect of financial planning. Therefore, we have this webinar to talk about a risk that we can't avoid in life, which is death. And today, we are very privileged to have one of our partners to share on this heavy topic on navigating funeral expenses during a time of loss. We understand that planning a funeral can be both emotionally challenging and financially burdensome. Our goal today is very simple, is to provide you with valuable insights, guidance, and resources to help you make informed decisions during this difficult time. Throughout this webinar, we'll be discussing various aspects of funeral expenses, including typical costs as well as things to take note of. Our invited guest speaker will also share practical ways to help elevate some of this financial stress associated with funeral planning. Thank you once again for being here today. I shall now pass the mic to our speaker, Jaslyn Goh, Funeral Director from Elvron Bereavement Services, to equip us with the necessary knowledge on what to do to deal with the passing of a loved one. Over to you, Jaslyn.
Hello, hi, good morning, everybody. I'm Jaslyn. I'm the funeral director from Elron Bereavement Services. Yeah, thank you for attending this webinar. So for today, I will actually share with you insights on what are the things that you have to do. What do you do? When somebody actually pass on, especially if it's with regards to your loved ones. Okay. Yeah. So just give me 1 minute. So for in Singapore, okay, the immediate steps of that's gonna happen when death happens is we need to actually have the certification of death. Okay, so to actually have the death certification, right? Um, that is the very first step, and then after that, family members will start to have uh, when usually you have to first engage a funeral director, and then the funeral director will actually assist you with the arranging of the funeral, and then during the arranging of funeral there will be the consideration of the financial considerations, and how you handle the finances after that. Okay, so for death certification, right? So in Singapore, when death happens, definitely you have to need to have a doctor to certify the death, and it depends on this where it actually happens. Okay, in the event that is it happens at home, and if it's a sudden death, um, if it's a sudden death, usually what family members they will actually do is the norm is they will call the ambulance, and when the ambulance arrive, if there is still pulse and all, ambulance will definitely bring them to the hospital, try to resuscitate and all. But in the event that when the medical team comes and they found that there's no pulse, and that the person is already has already passed on, what they will usually do is they will actually call the police. Okay, so the police when they come up, they will actually look at the overall situation. So I usually share with family members when that happens at home, and if it's a sudden one, try not to like touch the body or try to move the body somewhere, or because when the police officers, when they come up, they will actually look around, and they will check, and they will look at the situation, and if they say they actually suspect that there's any foul play, that means in the event that they cannot that for example, if the deceased is very young, or that the person do not have any medical records, okay, they will have to call the investigation officer to come up, and then they will have to decide from there whether or not that you are allowed to get a doctor to come up to certify the death. So what usually happens is, in the event that I actually have ever handled a case, which is like just a few days before Chinese New Year. So the deceased is actually quite elderly. However, when he passed on, he actually has got some tools on his has some tools on his hand. Yeah. So what he was actually found the he was actually found in the balcony. Give me 1 minute. He was actually found in the balcony, and he was actually trying to fix the light of the balcony just a few days before Chinese New Year. So when the officers come up, when the medical team come out, they couldn't resuscitate him. The officer came up because he was in a sitting position with tools in his in his hands. So the IO actually came up, took photos and all, and decided that it has to be like a so-called a postmortem case. So postmortem case, we cannot bring him back immediately. We need to wait for the next day, and they'll be sent to the SGH, the mortuary, for we call it a postmortem. So from there, the next day morning, officers will actually decide. The state coroner will actually decide, whether a autopsy needs to be carried out. If there's no need to, then we'll be able to, bring him back for embalming and all from SGH Brunei. So usually, if it happens at home, I the next step is that even during this period of time, they will actually family members, if they do know of a funeral director, they have a contact. They will actually contact the funeral director and find out what are the steps, and I will actually be called up and help and assist around for this case. And in the event that there are some cases that, for example, the elderly is already very old and has got medical issues, or even the young and they are diagnosed with, like, for example, cancer, and they know that it's really end stage, and there's no cure, and the doctor is usually with all this with their records, even if it's a young death, they will hospital actually will give contacts, or if not, then for myself, we actually have our own contacts for a doctor to come up and do the certification. So once we have the death cert, we can proceed, to do the arrangement of funeral death. So in the event that it actually happens in the hospital, okay, and of course, once there's a doctor to certify, again, we can just bring them up. I mean, bring them back to our embalming room to do embalming and arrange the funeral from the hospital itself. Yeah. So for the issuance of death cert, because now Singapore has gone digital, so we no longer, like in the past, need to go to the police station, or um, uh, some in the past is like the hospital, you have to go down to their A&E counter to do a paper one. Nowadays we can just use the SingPass, one of the family members SingPass, to do the issuance of death cert once you were given the death cert number from either the GP who's attending to the house case, or if not, then the nurses will actually help to prep if they are from if it happens in a hospital. Yeah, so only with the death cert, then we'll be able to proceed, to do the booking of cremation slots at Mandai. Okay, so okay, with regards to the cremation options, why I actually mentioned Mandai earlier is because Mandai crematorium is actually a government owned. Nowadays, most of the family members they actually choose to go to Mandai crematorium. unless family members they are like Buddhists or Taoists, they have additional two options to go to, which is Guangmingsan, yeah, and the other one is at Zituan. So Guangmingsan and Zituan both are located in Xingming area, and they are actually private, and as in that theirs is a private crematorium, and for their charges for Guangmingsan is $300 plus GST, and then for Zituan is $500 plus GST. But for Mandai, because it's a government one, so the cremation fee is only $100, and because it's government, so there would not be any GST. So it's actually $100 net. Yeah. And why I say most of the family nowadays they choose to go to Mandai crematorium, even if they are Buddhist or Taoist. Number one, of course, is the cost. Yeah, it's more cost saving. Number two, for Mandai crematorium, they have all the facilities there, and usually family members, unless they you know, they actually strongly think that they want to go to Guangmingsan or Tutuan, or that because they actually bought a niche there. Otherwise, they wouldn't purposely make the trip to this temple just for the cremation. Yeah, and then of course Christians, Catholics, usually they will want it will be at Mandai because they because for Guangmingsan and Zituan they are temple itself, so they wouldn't want to be, I mean the deceased wouldn't be cremated there if they are not Buddhist or Taoist themselves. Yeah, and then for the Muslims, Muslims usually is always burial, no cremation. So for Muslims, usually it will be handled by their own Muslim undertakers also. Yeah. Okay. So after 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 getting the death cert for with regards to the, just give me 1 minute, ah. Okay. So after we have gotten, you know, the death cert, and we have determined where is the place of cremation, right? So the next step is actually we will have to, of course, determine what is the religion of the deceased. So when so the deceased, we will usually hold the funeral as per the deceased religion, and before we actually like want to handle, as in proceed to do the arrangements, right? uh, they also have to decide whether they want it to be like a strict case cremation, or do they want to hold a wake, which is cremation, right? Typically it will be less than 3,000. Yeah, because for direct cremation, what we actually do is that we will collect the deceased from either from the house or from the hospital. We'll bring them back, you know, for the shower and makeup, and then we'll dress them up in their clothing. Then after that, book a Mandai slot, and of course there will be a casket given for the most simple one, because it's a direct strict case cremation. So there's no need to, like, you know, want to so called upgrade or pay additional for just to upgrade the casket. So for strict case cremation, usually it's quite straightforward, but there will still be circumstances whereby some family members they are not, they may have additional they may have like additional requests, you know, then we'll actually help to make the necessary arrangement. The necessary requests may be like, you know, for Christians and Catholics, usually there'll be laying of flowers during the last being at Mandai. So for me, I actually usually I will go and get fresh flowers for the family members, yeah, so that they can actually have the last laying of flowers and all, yeah. And otherwise for the Buddhists, usually what they do is that they will want to have a monk, you know, to do the final chanting over at Mandai crematorium. Yeah. And okay, so for straight case cremation, family member um, usually is small cost saving, but what the main reason most of them, as in some of them want to do a straight case cremation is it might be because when the deceased is still around, he or she actually mentioned that I do not want to hold a wake, I want to have a straight case cremation. The other factor might be because the family members are not so well-to-do in terms of financially, so they are worried about the expenses to have a 3 or 4 days or 5 days week. So they will actually want to be more assured of like how much would cost in total. So they will prefer to like have a strict case cremation. Another reason might be being the deceased do not have any children, and usually it's like the siblings, the brother or sister, um, they assist them uh, to have this cremation being done. Yeah. Sorry. Okay. So coming back to in terms of cremation, in terms of funeral arrangement, right? So many, I mean, one of the main purpose, main question about this webinar is actually the costing. Yeah, I understand that there will be many funeral directors out there. There will be many companies out there. So uh, people are not more internet savvy nowadays. Yeah, there will be instances whereby there are advertisement that actually says that for a Buddhist wake, for a Taoist wake, the cost in is 5,008 and whatnot. Yeah, and there are actually instances whereby many family members, when they call me and they were to ask me, says that how much does it cost, for example, a Christian funeral or a Catholic funeral. So for usually for the Catholic and the Christian's funeral, uh, the charges are lower because they do not have like uh, they usually have their own pastor, if not the priest, the churches, to actually uh, be doing the prayers and all that. Yeah. So the estimate cost usually, with everything all in, for Christian and Catholic cases is like between 8,000 to 10,000 with everything all in, meaning like the casket, the tent setup at the void deck, or and then the embalming services. There will be a bus, there will be a photo, there will be a photo wreath, everything that you need for a Christian or Catholic case. Yeah, and it will also like include like the mobile toilet rental charges with the drinks and all that all in. Yeah, and there are some when family members they check with me, they will tell me that 8 to 10,000. But then it's like when I look at the internet, there's people who says like maybe 4,000 or 5,008, they can do. Yeah. So I always advise family members just beware of what is really inclusive, because for me, when I share with people the costings and the charges, okay, it is really something that you do for a full, like a proper funeral, everything all nicely done up and all. So there are family members that say, I really want a more simple one and all. So there will be customization of like all these packages. Yeah, but some advertisement, when they give you a very low cost, yeah, when you decide to engage them and then they collected a body and all that, and they will start to tell you, you need to do an upgrade of casket, you need to upgrade, you need to pay additional if you want certain thing, if you want nicer setup and all. So for me, usually I always share with family members, I'm very upfront and open about what is included, what is not, and the setup that I do, I always give people nice and proper ones. So I do not go like I do not take any shortcuts. So mine is really like the all inclusive. I do not meet you and then come and tell you, say like between 8 to 10,000, and then it becomes like even more or beyond, way beyond that. So just have to take note that yeah, there are I think it's also in the news lately that the with regards to the costings and all, it's not very open. So just be more alert about it, and so you know that you need to compare apple to apple, and of course the services that has been rendered. Yeah, and with regards to the costing for like Buddhist, usually Buddhist compared to Taoist, Buddhist cases are also slightly cheaper because the costing for the prayer item, and if let's say from some family, if let's say they actually go through for Buddhists, they actually go through this thing called 皈依, right? So once this deceased actually 有经过皈依, some of them they wouldn't want to like burn the big paper house and all. So that is also one cost factor. So for a Buddhist case, the charges can be within about 10 to 13,000, and then with regards to the Taoist, right, the costing can be like up to 15 to 18,000. Yeah, it depends on, of course, what are packages, what are the items that you choose, and of course include whether or not that you all have a lot of buffet, or you all are going to have the cookings and all on the spot. So all these are additional charges or additional costings, and it really depends on family. What are how they want the funerals or to be done. Yeah. So in this aspect, usually I before I for me I prefer to be more upfront, so I will be very open with family members and tell them that this is the expectation and this is the costing and what is it that you all need and what you all want. And before I proceed, to say that, okay, let me bring your loved one back for embalming and all, because I prefer not to have any so-called misunderstanding, or that anything that is unpleasant, because I know that during this period of time when family members are grieving, it's actually very difficult, for them. It's already very difficult for them, and furthermore, I wouldn't want to, aggravate it with, like, the unclear or the hidden charges and costings. Yeah. Just give me a minute. Okay. So moving on to the next one. So after, of course, after the uh, after the arrangements, usually during the wakes, right, whether is it a 3 days, 4 days, or 5 days, that's when the family members, they can also decide what they would want to do with the ashes, after the wake. So what happens is, they can actually, in Singapore, there's actually a few channels that they can decide. One is, for to go to sea barrier. Yeah, sea barrier is they will take the boat out from Changi Point ferry terminal. So it's actually just beside Changi Village, the point whereby people take a boat out to go to Pulau Ubin. So that we will actually book a boat out, and then we'll go on to the sea, and then we'll actually throw the ashes into the sea. So the thing about sea barrier is, I know a lot of people, when they experience it, they will ask me and say, hey, I thought sea barrier is when you start throwing the ashes and all in, or like, when in the movie that you see, like all in powder form. Okay, the thing is, for after cremation, the ashes when they come out, it's not in powder form. You can actually still see, like, human bones. Yeah, it's actually in big pieces, and it's actually in human bone form. And for people who are doing sea burial, we usually would not grind it down to powder form. What I actually do with family members is that we will actually wrap it up in the cloth, and then we'll drop it into the sea. Yeah. So for the Catholics in the past, they are not supposed to be doing sea burial. Yeah, because by right we have to, go back to the ground, but because now most of the cases, due to land issues in Singapore, so most of them will opt for cremation. So in the event that they actually do a sea burial, it's not advisable to be scattering them all over. Yeah, because we should still be in one form lah. So for my family members, they have who have actually chosen to go for sea burial. Yeah, I actually assist them and go out to the sea with them, and we will actually do the sea burial together. The other option that the government has been promoting, which is inland scattering. So inland scattering is when you actually by right is to throw the ashes into the so-called the garden. Yeah, so a lot of people they ask me, oh, so you mean use the ashes to plant tree and whatnot? The thing about Singapore is that we do not have so much of like trees and lands and all. So for the inland scattering, what they actually do is that they will actually go to the gardens at either there's one at Lim Chu Kang and one more upcoming at Mandai. So at Lim Chu Kang, we actually call it Garden of Peace, and there's actually like it's actually more like I would say a drainage system whereby for inland scattering, they will need to grind it down to powder and then throw it into the drainage. The thing there's actually like those creeper plants and all grown on top of the drain so that at least it doesn't look so to make it looks better. Okay, the costing for inland scattering the government actually charge 320. So what how the process of it is that I will actually again help family members to you know do the booking using the SingPass, and they will actually I will actually assist them to upload the death cert and all the necessary documents, and then we'll book a slot a day to go to the Garden of Peace, and then we do the inland scattering. Okay, with regards to the charges for the sea barrier, right, it's definitely much cheaper. Because usually family members when they engage me, be it like for straight case or be it for the whole funeral week and all, usually the sea barrier I do not like charge them additional charges. That means for sea barrier, the costing now is actually $80 to get a boat to go out to the sea. So I always tell family members say that I'm not charging any additional. So just book the boat. I will help them to book the boat, and then we'll go out to sea together. Yeah, because some other companies they will say that they will charge like maybe a 200 because they need to cover for their transport and whatnot. Yeah, but for me, because I've been the cases that I've been handling are usually by referrals and by words of mouth. So they are usually because referral cases is usually like maybe my friend's friend they recommended and all. So for all this I usually do not charge like additional. Even for the inland scattering, if family members is to choose to do that, for the 320 they just have to pay online when we are doing the booking, and then I will actually arrange a date to go out with them. Yeah, and the last option that people actually have to for their ashes is actually to choose to put at Mandai or Lim Chu Kang, which is owned by government. If not, then it will be the private temples or churches. Yeah, so it depends on the religion that the person has. So for the government one, of course, at Mandai and Lim Chu Kang, it will be all religion. That means like the Buddhist, the Christian, the Taoist, they will all be there. In the past they actually have some blogs like that they says that especially for only Christians or Catholics because they do not want any prayers rites to be done there. Yeah, but nowadays due to the limitation of the number of niches in Singapore, they now do have like mixed religion in the same block, in the same in the same building, as in like the yeah within the same block. Yeah, and but family members who have decided, like for example the Buddhists or Taoists, they decided that they are okay to have a mixed religion. They do need to sign a form to say that they agree that there is no any rights to be carried out at the block itself, but they can still continue to so-called pray for their loved ones. They can still continue to pray for their loved ones at they can still continue to pray for their loved ones at the at the first floor. Okay, there's actually a praying section that uh, they actually cater to, so that family members, although they cannot pray at the niche itself, they can still do prayer downstairs at the praying area. Yeah, and for currently for the government niches, it depends on whether family will want to get a single or double slot. Okay, for government niche, you cannot pre-book it. That means nobody is allowed to buy it before they are gone. So what happens is that for the government niches, right, uh, they definitely need to have a death cert before uh, somebody is allowed to buy. So in the event that somebody pass on in the family and they want to buy a government one, they can actually choose to buy a single or double niche. So a single niche will only fit one niche, and a double niche will be able to put two. So some family members, they choose to get the double niche is because they think that maybe their their grandfather or grandmother or their dad and their mom can be together, when the other one comes along. So what happens is that if they were to buy the double niche, right? So the first one who pass on will go of course will be placed in first. So there will be a marble slab outside that will be done, and there will only be one name and all this. Thus, along the years when the second one comes along, okay, they will have to engage the contractor again, but they do not need to buy the niche slot from the government again. They just need to get a contractor to remove the marble slab, and then put in the second one, and then there will be two names, and then there'll be two photos on for the double niche. Yeah, and usually if they were to get it from the government, the costing should be within about 2005 or so. Yeah, unless family members they says that they want to upgrade the urn, they want to have a better marble slab, then it will cost more. Yeah, but frankly, in my own personal opinion, I think that because the urns and all is like kept on that. Yeah, so usually I will advise family like, we we are depends on your financial means. Yeah, it's okay to want to spend money, but spend money like on something that is more worth it, like like because an urn is an urn. It's just to hold the ashes. Yeah, there I understand that some people, they, because family members are grieving, they will try to use certain speech, or to make family members want to spend more. Yeah, but I always tell family members, ultimately it's up to them, but try to be for me personally, I will share the options, but I will also advise family accordingly, like what they should really be looking at that is more important. Yeah, and try not to overspend. Yeah, because it depends on who are so-called the ones that left behind. Yeah, which I will touch on that later. Yeah. So for the private niches, of course, it will be at the temple or the churches, and it depends on where that family members will want the niches to be. And usually in Singapore, due to land constraint again, most of the private ones, they now have land lease. That means when family member buy the niche, right? They will tell you, oh, it's only for 15 years or 30 years or 50 years, depends on the private institutions, how many years they are looking at. So for that, right? Um, so for that, right? It will actually ultimately it will actually affect uh the loved ones who are left behind. Because taking an example, the land lease is like 30 years. So maybe the deceased is in his 80s, and then maybe the children are in their 50s or 60s. So they now buy the niche. 30 years later, the person who bought it, who is now 50 or 60, will be like 80s or 90s, and they need to renew the lease, right? And the generation behind this batch, right, they will have to so-called be picking up from there if the person who actually bought the niche are no longer around, or that because they are already very elderly, So they will usually ask the younger generation to so-called take over. So getting a niche, I always tell family members, plan ahead and plan long term. Yeah, I know many families sometimes they will tell me says that, oh, 30 years time I don't even know whether I'm still around. So I always tell them says that then I will discuss with them like what are the options that's available, and then from there they can move on and think about it. Yeah, because it is not uh, we are not assured of like what's going to happen in the future, like 20, 30 years down the road. What is the costing going to be like due to inflation and all, and what are the charges that the churches or the temples are going to charge. Yeah, for with regards to the government niche is like currently as of now is still like so-called we call it a freehold lah, like prime property. So in the event that the government wants to shift out, they need to shift somewhere or what, they will actually contact the family members and they will so-called take care of it and get a new place. Yeah, so this is something that family members also have to decide where they want the ashes to be kept, or that are they going to keep it. If not, then they will have to go for the sea barrier or the inland scattering option. Yeah. Yeah, so just like as I have shared earlier, how much does it cost? So funeral costing for the Christians and Catholics, right? It should typically be less than 10,000, including the wake, including the all the all the all the things that is needed. The only like I still have to emphasize, for all these pricings, right? It will ultimately be affected by what family member actually wants. That means, like I said, the variables are usually the food costing, because some family members maybe they do not need to order buffet, or they do not need any food because they think that Grab is easy, they can just grab their own food and all. There are some family members who are like they want to order buffet, and because they have got big family or that they expect a lot of guests and all, so they might be ordering more food on a daily basis, like 50 packs, 60 packs, or maybe up to 100 packs per night, for their buffet. And there are also family members, usually more of the, I would say more of the traditional Chinese, they will still want to have like uh food to be cooked on the spot. They will want the cook to come down and cook on the spot, and they charge by per table, and per table is like a minimum of 180 per table, and there's actually minimum of 5 tables per session. So all these are costings that will affect the overall charges for the funerals. Yeah. For Taoist funeral, I think there is some errors that I need to amend. Yeah. It can cost 20 to 25,000, but that is like really for family members who wants a lot of food and all. So that is and there may be like more rights. Yeah. Otherwise, maybe within about 18 to 20,000. Yeah, it should be sufficient. Yeah, 20 to 25,000 is only when they really have a lot of they do a lot of caterings and all lah. Yeah, and during the times whereby when family members, when it comes to funeral costing, okay, the thing about funeral costing is one thing. The culture of Singapore is that usually there will be this donation collections, which in Chinese we is known as 白金 lah. So uh, for this donation collection, usually family members they will use it to pay off for the funeral expenses and all. Okay, in Singapore context, usually I would say depends on of course depends on the relationship that you have with the person, and that how close you are, with the person, that the person will actually decide the amount that they give. Yeah, but for me personally, when it comes to family who has like maybe one of the spouse pass on and they have small children and all, yeah, my I will actually try to help the family members, and I always usually try to give them discounts and try to lower the overall costing. I'll give them the advice accordingly. Yeah, because it is not just about the costings of the funeral and all. Yeah, because it's also the days that is going beyond. Yeah, like stating an example, I have a very good friend who just passed on earlier this month. So he's actually a Muslim. So of course for Muslim I won't be able to assist him with the wake and all, because I for Muslim usually is handled by their own Muslim undertaker. But the group of us, as friends and all, we will actually you know uh, fund, we'll give some funds and assist the family to tie it through. Even though knowing that for the costings for funerals for Muslims is actually a lot lower, but we you know we we I still choose to give a sum, because he has a 4-year-old child, and it's not just we well know that his funeral expenses will definitely be covered. And because in the past he actually have gotten some insurance and all, and there's a payout and all. But to me it's still, what are the days that is moving forward, because the son is only 4 years old. There will be educations and all that he needs to go through, and the daily expenses that they will be meeting, because it's no longer two working in the family. Now it's only left with the wife. So the wife will have to take care of the household and everything. So in terms of the financial means after the funeral and the wake, yeah, that is one of the concern. So when I am assisting family, who are like that, for example, the deceased is young, lesser than 65 years old, or that in circumstances whereby they left young children behind. I always remind family that that they need to watch the costing, because even though the donations and all will come in, yeah, I will still advise them not to, like, so-called splurge on just because they feel that they want to give the so-called the best week and all. So they want a certain arrangement. Yes, no doubt everybody wants what's best for your loved ones, and especially during the final journey. So I always try to assist them and help them with all this to meet their requirements, but at the same time try to lower the costings, because it's not just about now. Yeah, actually I will handle a case whereby the child is only in a primary school, and the husband actually passed on when no one is around because due to heart failure. Yeah, so um, because he's only in his 40s, so I actually mentioned to the wife and says that, hey, because your husband is less than and then for Singaporeans or Singapore PR, we actually have this thing called dependent protection scheme that is given by the government. But you need to be either working adult, because you need to have your CPF contribution first. So this policy actually deducts from our CPF ordinary account. So it's a no cash. We don't need to pay any cash for this policy. So I actually reminded that, hey, and then only covers up to 60 years old. But I think now the latest they actually upgraded to 65 or 70. I'm not sure. You have to check. Probably have to check with your financial consultant to be more sure. So for this DPS, I was telling the wife, I said, so long as your husband did not do any cancellation, did not opt out of this thing, he should be able to receive, at then was a 46,000 payout, but I think now is they actually increased it. Yeah, so after the funeral, and she did all the all the all the arrangements for the to get the estates all in proper. She actually told me that, oh, my husband did not have this DPS thing. Yeah, because he actually opt out during his younger days. Yeah, so I mean, it's very sad that sometimes we think that uh, we do not need insurance, or that we are young, and we think that maybe our savings and all is enough. But is it truly enough, especially in times like that? Because he's in his 40s. He's, if I remember correctly, the daughter is only like 7 or 8 years old, primary one or primary two. Yeah, so the wife is again left alone, and the, I would say a blessing in disguise will be that there's only one child. Yeah, because personally I have 4 kids, so if in the event that anything happens to me or my spouse, I think we'll be in trouble if we are not, if we do not have any insurance and all that. Because during this period of time, for the funeral costings and all that, it will be covered because there will be family and friends around to assist, with the donation collections and all. And if we, of course, uh, I myself as a funeral director, if I am not in this trade, I will not know, if I'll be able to meet somebody who is able, to be so called helping me and planning for all this, within my comfort level, and giving you advice of not overspending. Yeah, so that is one factor that I always share with family members, like, after the funeral, what can they do, and what is going to happen in terms of their financial. Yeah, and I also share with family members, like, other than just insurance, also for the bank accounts and all, how are they, supposed to go and handle it, and and so that they do not they are not stuck with, too much of financial burden. Yeah. So in terms of all this, I usually share with family members, ultimately, when we are healthy and, still living, still around, we should be thinking of, not just the financial considerations for funerals and all, but what are the days ahead? Because it'll be nice if, let's say, we live to a ripe old age in our 70s, 80s, or 90s, that we are still healthy and still living quality of life, and we pass on at a very old age. Okay, so some people, they say that, "Oh, when I'm that old, do I still need to leave behind something?" Yeah, personally, I will feel that if I can live to that age, okay, I will want to be preparing a sum for my own funeral expenses, and at the same time, probably, leaving some money behind. Maybe not for my children, because I started family at very young, so my kids will be in their maybe 60s, 70s by then. Yeah, but probably to leave something for my grandchildren, or perhaps even better would be my great grandchildren. So these are, like, to me, is about leaving a legacy even when we are gone. Yeah, so it's actually um it's actually more beneficial for our own family and friends, not so much our friends, sorry, yeah, for our own family members, that they know that we have taken care of this aspect without them having to worry about, oh, what's next, uh, do I have enough money, do I have, enough for to send off my mom or my dad. Yeah, so I think these are things that, I always encourage people to think about. Not just covering for the funeral expenses, but what you leave behind for your families and friends. You know. Okay, so I think okay, so the last that will be talking about will be compassion and funeral and financial planning in managing funeral arrangement. So personally, like I said, all my cases are usually like more of a referral, and I do not do like advertisement and all. Yeah, simply because I feel that in terms of funeral, it's a time that family members are grieving, and it's a very personal journey. Yeah, because, like, how long it takes for each person to grieve for somebody is totally different, because it depends on the relationship that you have with the person. And it's always good to have somebody, I would say a funeral director that, has got compassion and can understand your needs and your wants, during this very difficult time. Yeah. So why I said that usually I do not do like advertisement and all. I always work on the referral cases. Is because I want to be there for the people that I know, or the people that I know who thinks that they they refer me to their, of course it's either to their friends or to their loved ones, because they know that I will be able to be there to care for them during this very difficult time. Yeah. So, and especially this grieving period, right? You will definitely need somebody who is not only just handling the last journey, the final journey of the loved ones, but also taking or care of the family, not just in terms of like their well-beings and all, but in terms of their financial expenses. I do understand that some of my friends and all, they jokingly say, "Hey, you're in this funeral line. It seems like you're very good to earn, very easy to earn." I always tell them, says that, to be very frank, when we run a business, yes, we are actually looking at the profits, but it is more of not just the profit, but whether you are taking care and doing your best, the kind of services that you actually provide. Yeah, if there's no profit, why would anybody want to run a business, right? But even when making the profit, you know, the purpose of me being in this industry and to want to assist family during this difficult time is different as compared to what the you know, uh, commercial people in the market is doing. Yeah. So I think with that, can I pass it back to Jason?
Hello, yes, once again, thank you, Jaslyn, for today's very in-depth sharing. All right, so as we conclude this webinar on funeral expenses, we hope that the information shared today has been valuable to you. Remember, while the financial aspect of funeral planning can seem so overwhelming, you are not alone. There are resources available to help us navigate this decision with confidence and peace of mind. Preparing financially is not just about being aware of these costs, like funeral costs or estate costs, but managing our finances while we are alive is even much more so important. So to end off, right, understanding financial information can be very sensitive. Therefore, we'll be reaching out to each of you personally. Our team have prepared a step-by-step future-proof checklist to assist you to be aware of your current financial standing in areas of income replacement benefits as well as retirement years benefits to make sure that we are all prepared in the many different situations. And all this will be given as personalized readiness report for you. All right. So last but not least, let me flash Jaslyn's contact again so you all can save keep her number and reach out to her personally should you have any other questions. And lastly, once again, thank you for joining us and have a good day ahead.
Thank you.